We often think of cancer as a result of genetic mutations, a rogue cell multiplying uncontrollably. But what if there's more to the story? Emerging theories suggest that cancer could be seen as a kind of cellular identity crisis, where cells forget their role within the body and revert to a more primitive, self-centered state. This blog explores how this phenomenon, akin to a form of dissociative identity disorder, is linked to the atavistic theory of cancer. Additionally, we'll discuss how modern environmental factors like cell phone radiation might confuse cells and push them toward this dangerous regression. Cancer as a cellular identity crisis. Imagine if the cells in your body started seeing themselves as entirely separate entities rather than part of a greater whole. This is what happens in cancer, where cells begin to operate with a diminished sense of self. They prioritize their own survival over the needs of the organism, shrinking the boundary between self and non-self. This is much like a person with dissociative identity disorder, who might experience fragmented identities, with each identity unaware of the others. The atavistic theory of cancer suggests that this regression isn't just random, but is a throwback to a much older, simpler time in the history of life. Long before complex multicellular organisms evolved, our single-celled ancestors thrived by focusing on their immediate survival, without any need to cooperate with others. Cancer cells, according to this theory, are essentially reverting to this ancient behavior, prioritizing their own growth at the expense of the body. The role of modern environmental factors. How entropic waste confuses cells. Our cells have evolved over millions of years to respond to specific environmental cues, like temperature changes or nutrient availability, that help them understand their place within the body. But in our modern world, new types of environmental stressors, like electromagnetic radiation from cell phones, have emerged. This radiation can create what's known as entropic waste, a kind of chaos in the bioelectric signals that cells use to communicate and stay oriented within the body. Radiation-induced confusion. When cells are exposed to radiation, it can lead to the production of reactive oxygen species, or ROS, or disrupt the voltage potential known as VMEM across their membranes. These disruptions can distort the signals that cells rely on, making them perceive their environment incorrectly. Instead of functioning harmoniously as part of a multicellular organism, the affected cells might start behaving as if they were in a completely different environment, one that doesn't align with the evolutionary stressors they're adapted to handle. The dangerous regression of cellular goals. From cooperation to chaos. In a healthy body, cells work together to keep everything running smoothly. But when they're confused by distorted signals, they can regress to a more primitive state, where they act independently and prioritize their immediate survival. This is exactly what we see in cancer cells. They multiply uncontrollably, disregarding the body's needs and treating the surrounding tissue as if it were an external environment to be exploited. Implications for treatment. Understanding cancer as a form of cellular identity crisis opens up new possibilities for treatment. Instead of only targeting genetic mutations, we might focus on restoring the bioelectric signals that help cells maintain their proper identity and function within the body. Additionally, reducing exposure to environmental stressors like cell phone radiation could help prevent the cellular confusion that leads to cancer in the first place. Conclusion: protecting our cells in a modern world. As we continue to uncover the complexities of cancer, it's becoming clear that the disease isn't just about genetic mutations. It's also about how cells perceive their environment and their place within the body. By viewing cancer as a cellular identity crisis and recognizing the role of modern environmental factors in triggering this crisis, we can better understand how to protect ourselves. Minimizing exposure to entropic waste, such as electromagnetic radiation, might be a key strategy in preventing cancer and maintaining the delicate balance that keeps our cells, and us, healthy.